Mr. Bannock.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Yep.
Mr. Chauncey.
Here.
Reverend Custer.
Here.
Mr. Johnston.
Here.
Ms. Lugo. Here. Mr. Staborski.
Here.
Mr. Valesky.
Here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and in silence, please. Thank you.
Number 3, the approval of minutes. It's recommended and resolved that the PENNCREST School Board of Directors approve the following minutes. June 3rd, 2024, School Board Work Session, June 11th, 2024, School Board Meeting, July 1st, 2024, Special Voting Meeting, July 24th, 2024, Special Voting Meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Number 4 is our student representatives here. Do we have any student representatives here this evening? Okay. So the next person on the presentation, Debbie.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay? All right. Good evening, administration, board members, educators, and families of the PENNCREST School District. If we have not met, I am Debbie Miller, a 33-year teacher of 7th grade, and also the president of the PENNCREST Area Education Association. I hope that all have had an enjoyable summer and that our new administration, led by Superintendent Ford, have survived the monumental task of transition in our district. I will say that Mr. Ford and Mrs. Feely and Mrs. Frantz and myself have spent many hours discussing and brainstorming ways to improve PENNCREST, and they're moving forward. I want to publicly thank Mr. Ford for taking the time to discuss all concerns and ideas that we had. He never once said, "I'm too busy," nor did he ever say, "This is an administrative prerogative." He always listened and said repeatedly that, in the end, I'm going to make the decision that is best for students. Does that mean that he sided with the teacher's perspective in all cases? No. But I thank him and Mrs. Feely for listening. I firmly believe that we have the expertise and the experience in this district to face any problems and collectively solve them. We are strongest when we collaborate together. Since my first moment speaking to you over 2 years ago, I pleaded for communication, and I feel that we are at last moving in the right direction. So with that goal of communicating with all the stakeholders, I want to express a deep concern on behalf of my colleagues and myself: class size. I appreciate your strides this spring to attempt to limit the cuts and increase revenue through a tax increase. However, that was only the first step, and sadly not enough to maintain the classrooms we previously had. We lost classrooms at the elementary and secondary levels. These cuts, while many of which were attrition, still have a huge impact on class size. If you recall, in the spring, I even questioned where the research came from to even suggest that those high numbers would allow for increased student achievement. I could list for you all the areas of elementary and secondary that are feeling overloaded, and in some cases, like lab classes, even unsafe. But hopefully you are keenly aware And let's be honest, nothing positive ever comes from admiring the problem. So instead, I'm asking you to pledge your support for lowering class sizes at all levels in PENNCREST. I ask you to continually direct and uphold Mr. Ford and his team to find ways to bring those numbers down. Maybe we need a campaign and a slogan. Maybe something like this: in 2025, let's strive for under 25. Corny maybe, but it is at least a goal. I've always said that PENNCREST is a jewel where small is an awesome thing for our students and our communities. So please join me in an effort to save the small in PENNCREST. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. The next presentation are our spring sports recognition with Mr. Baker. Turn it over to you at this point in time.
Thank you. I'm here to recognize several of these student athletes that we have that competed in the PIAA playoffs. I'm going to start with the Cambridge Springs High School softball team. If the members of the team are present, could you please come and receive your certificate? Bridget Bullock, Kayla Crawford, Carly Cunningham, Peyton Leandro, Jada Morosky, Audrey Bullock, Jaden Newell, Jaden Simmons, Morgan Dutton, Quinn Eglin, Trinity Caldwell, Savannah Loveland, Rylan Machasek, Ayla Rimmel, Sydney Zilhaver, and Kylie Miller. Yours is probably at the back. Congratulations. I'll make sure that Mrs. Coper, the principal at Cambridge Springs, has the rest of these certificates so she can hand those out to the students. The next team I'd like to recognize is the Sagertown High School baseball team. For their competition in the PIAA playoffs. The SHS baseball team made it to the state semifinals this year. As I call your name, if you're here, please come receive your certificates. John Grundy, Connor Shaw, Garrett Crawford, DeMarcus Manning, Everett Gardner, Luke Young, Blake Burchill, Tori Mosbacher, Wyatt Burchill, Gabe Jordan, Reese Wilkinson, William Schaefer, Levi Gardner, and Blake Leslie. Congratulations. I'll make sure that Dr. Herrick receives these. The next team I'd like to recognize would be the Sagertown High School softball team. Those members are Maggie Triola, Mackenzie Braun, Casey Mook, Liam McGill, Madison Pratt, Rhea Paris, Abby Urose, Michaela Obenrader, Alyssa Arblaster, and Natalie Halsey. Congratulations. The last team I'd like to recognize would be the Sagertown High School boys volleyball team. They competed in the first round of the PIAA playoffs. Those team members are Will Nicholson, Cody Hewson, Sam Dre, Caden Juliet, Luke McGill, Weston Baker, Josh Weaver, Xander Braun, Hunter Moldoro, Cruz Scott, Jackson Scott, Colin Jones, Spencer Kiefer, Grant Anthony, Johan Kelly, Mason Alio, Ross Triola, Ryder Bailey, Bryce Schneider, Isaac Kuya, Max Latrick, and Talon Adams. No, don't worry. Here, I got you. Congratulations. The next group of students I'd like to recognize would be the Cambridge Springs High School Teams competitors. Let me read briefly about what the Teams competition is for those of you that are not aware. Many of you ask, what is TEAMS? Well, TEAMS is the test of engineering, aptitude, mathematics, and science, and it's an annual science, technology, engineering, and math competition that challenges middle school and high school students to work collaboratively to solve real-world engineering challenges, applying their math and science knowledge in practical, creative ways. The students from Cambridge Springs competed at the national tournament in Florida this summer, and I think it's only proper that we recognize Tyson Findley, Peyton Leandro, Parker Schmidt, and Maura York. If you're here, can you please come and take the certificate? Congratulations.
Oh, we do have a speech, so.
I will turn the mic over to you.
Right, perfect.
Parker. Congratulations. The mic's yours.
Perfect. All right. Good evening. We are thrilled to stand before you today to share our incredible experience attending the Teams National Competition in Orlando, Florida. And we are grateful for the opportunity to recount the highlights of this memorable trip. From the moment we arrived in Orlando, the excitement was evident. The city, renowned for its vibrant energy and innovation, provided the perfect backdrop for a competition that celebrates science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. As we stepped off the plane, we were greeted from the warm Florida sun and a sense of anticipation that only grew stronger as we approached the competition venue. The competition itself was a whirlwind of activity. Each day was packed with events, from rigorous challenges that tested our problem-solving skills to inspiring keynote speeches from various leaders. Our first challenge was to create a PowerPoint presentation about retrieving an item from space. Sounds easy, but when it takes over 12 hours to create, it wasn't so easy. Our second challenge was the multiple choice test, which tested our physics, calculus, and trig knowledge. We unfortunately did not place in the top 10 in the nation for either of those two competitions, but the last challenge is when we really made our mark on the national competition. Our third and final challenge consisted of constructing a space helmet and tools to retrieve space debris in outer space, or which was there was pool noodles tied with ribbon. We gave this challenge all we had and excelled at the highest level, walking out with the biggest smiles on our faces. We were on the edge of our seats the next morning at the award ceremony, excited to see if our names got called, and to be able to walk up on the big lit up stage in front of all 6,000 students in attendance with Cambridge pride. After the long 4-hour wait, the design and build challenge results were in, and little old Cambridge Springs High School was called up to the stage. With enormous smiles on our faces, we made our way up to the stage and received a top 10 pin of recognition for placing in the top 10 out of a total of 200 teams competing against us at the national level.
And beyond the competition, Orlando offered us a chance to explore and unwind as a team. We visited some of the city's most iconic restaurants and even got some entertainment, which allowed us to bond as a team and grow closer together. Throughout this journey, we were constantly reminded of the power of STEM education. It not only equips us with technical skills needed to excel in the chosen fields, but also fosters critical thinking, creativity, and resilience. These attributes were evident in every participant we met, and it was inspiring to see so many young minds passionate about making a difference in our world. The team's national competition trip to Orlando was an unforgettable experience that has left an undeniable mark on all of us. We are incredibly grateful for the opportunity to participate and for the support from our teachers, teammates, sponsors, friends, and family. Together, we have proven that with dedication and collaboration, we can achieve great things. We'd like to give a huge thank you to the school board for approving this trip and allowing us to show the nation and all 6,000 competitors alongside us what Cambridge Springs High School is made of. We'd also like to thank Mr. Crocker for guiding us along the way since day one, where we were first starting to work on math problems in his room and brainstorming together, and all the other teachers who have helped us achieve greatness at the national level. Mr. Archaki and Mrs. Leandro were also a great help by helping us raise the needed funds and by chaperoning us along this trip. Thank you for allowing us to share our journey with you. We look forward to continuing to explore the wonders of STEM and contributing to the advancements that will shape our future. Thank you.
We have books of our trip to pass to everybody, so, well, some of you guys. I mean, there's not enough, but.
Thank you very much. The last group of students I'd like to recognize are the trap clubs from the various attendance areas that competed at the national competition in Michigan earlier this summer. First, from Cambridge Springs, if you're here, please come receive your certificate. Ian Anderson, Callan Armbruster, Brody Beck, Tyler King, Dakota Newell, Henry Raycop, Benjamin Snow, Grace Snow, and Tristan Trace. For those of you that aren't aware, these group of trap shooters from Cambridge Springs, I believe, placed 12th in the country out of how many teams? So there you have it, a lot of teams. I believe it was probably over 300. Yep. The next trap club members I'd like to recognize would be those from Maplewood. Those members are Leo Bergman, Dylan Dewey, Garrett Dewey, Braden Gordon, and Landon Pierce. Thank you. Congratulations, guys. Thank you. And the last group that I'd like to recognize will be those from the Sacreton High School trap team. Those members are Talon Adams, Kylie Bennick, Justin Crawford, Gabe Jordan, Braden Krantz, Cade Paris, Jordan Rhodes, Addison Spencer, Emma Spencer, and Rylan Spencer. And that concludes the presentation for the athletics.
Section 5, there are no citizens' comments here at this time. I have 3 discussion items I want to talk to everyone about. The first one, actually, I heard a discussion here when I was sitting in the audience, and I just want to verify for the adult ticket prices. So I went back and had Cynthia check the clear back to see. This was the last thing that was voted on right here. Now, I believe there has been not charging students the last few years. I think that was just waived, though. It was never voted on from what I could find, okay? So I thought I heard that we were going to begin to charge students this year during that discussion, but that's why I brought it back up here, because I wanted to verify that. First of all, the free admission to the PENNCREST sporting events are the veterans, the active military, senior citizens with our gold card, PENNCREST staff, coaches, and board members. Then the ticket prices for 24, 25. Adult seniors would be $5, students would be $2. So I open that up. It's not on a voting item. It's just, I want to make sure I'm doing it right when we set the prices this year.
I'll make my comments. I don't think we should be charging students. And here's the rationale. The students obviously are getting the money from their parents unless they're working. And that would be the 14-year-olds and up, because my kiddo worked at 14. And I put the bill for them. So I don't think it's right. The students want to support each other. I mean, these kids, you see the teams here, volleyball, soccer, basketball, baseball, whatever. If we want camaraderie with our students, we need to allow them to cheer each other on in a student section without having to worry about an admission fee. The parents, okay, that's fine, no problem. But the students, I'm not okay with that. I mean, especially as a mom and as a board member. That's just from me.
I think a lot of what drove that conversation was not necessarily the financial side of it, I guess. Kind of some comments just about, the how students were behaving at certain games and stuff, and not students as a whole, but some students were behaving. So I think that's a lot of why that was discussed. So I mean, I think that's something that, I'm not going to say I'm either way on it, because there's people who would definitely have a lot better knowledge on it than I would that attend most of the games. So if there's thought that, we need to do something to help keep it under control more, then I think it's an option to look at, but I'm not going to, full-fledged say that I think that's the fix either, so.
Randy, I can speak to that.
I was going to ask, or what's the rule on unaccompanied children?
Well, that's what's been happening. That goes clear back to when I was athletic director.
Yeah.
Parents would just drop off even younger children, and then we had a whole field of younger children, and so that was part of the problem. I don't think the cost is the issue here at all.
Yeah.
I think in a perfect world we wouldn't want to charge our students. I agree, but I can speak from previous as an athletic director, our current principals, especially at our football games in particular, they're having trouble managing all the students that are coming and getting dropped off. So that's probably the biggest.
So are we talking a policy issue? Because, I mean, you have the topic as ticket info. I agree, because there's a lot of unintended kids at those football games.
Yes.
And that may be a whole nother topic, you know, where the parent needs to be responsible. That's just, I mean, if we're gonna attack an issue, I don't think it's the ticket price. I think it's parental guidance, and if your student comes and they're under age 14, the parent's with them. And that can be a policy that we set. I mean, I don't know, I'm just spitballing.
Yeah, I mean, it potentially could. Either way, I can see it, because the kiddos in Cambridge, especially, where they can walk right to the field. Now you're turning them away if they're under 14.
And I don't know what that magic number is.
Right, or whatever that is.
I don't know what the number is. I'm just,
So,
What was the charge you had said that was on for,
What
the numbers that you read off?
5 and 2.
5 and 2.
yeah,
Okay.
5 and 2. That's the last thing that I could see that was voted on.
It was like 2019?
Yes.
Or something like that, okay.
I went back a long way.
but even with the unattended children,
Right.
if they pay $2, they're still unattended.
Right.
So, I mean, we have to target on what the
Right,
issue
sure,
is.
I think it'd be interesting to hear, I don't know if it'd be possible to do like a survey to coaches that have been here during that time and now to, you know, like if that was the fix or if something else is the fix, like a policy, like Teresa's saying, like,
Could be.
was that a fix, or, you know, like did it go downhill afterwards? I don't know, if it's possible.
Regulation.
And I think it's more of the football games, because they're outside.
It is.
It's not
Yeah,
so much the
space.
basketball and soccer, or, you know, it's
Right.
football.
How many security do we typically have working at a football game?
3, to my understanding.
Before I got on the board, I did security at these ball games, mostly here in Sagertown and Cambridge. Both campuses were major problems. Constantly had to get pulled off of our duty. Out here, they wanted to tumble down the hill, and they were sneaking back to the woods and what have you. There was just no parental guidance. And consequently, Mr. Baker can attest to it, because he'd have to pull me off my post a lot of times to go handle a situation. I don't know what the answer is, but, you know, I've seen it all my years before I got on the board. Car pull off and drop a bunch of them off, and they just scatter, and it was an issue the whole evening.
And that was probably prior when we were being charged.
Yeah, it was when they were.
Prior to.
Right, prior
So
to.
it's a behavior issue.
So maybe it's an administrative issue that we look at behaviors, but still, on the books right now is the thought, do we want to continue with not charging what we've done previous, I believe it's 4 years?
You have a precedent.
Yeah.
You have a precedent, so I would say leave it. That's just me. And let's address the other behavior issue as we, through policy here.
So to be clear, you're suggesting leaving the students free
Free,
admission? Yeah.
yes.
Students, when they are disciplined at these games, they can be punished within the school, correct? Within the school.
That's accurate. Yes.
I agree with Teresa.
Okay. Okay, well, it sounds like that's what I needed then, so I went around, so I'm good with that, thank you. The next one is I've been doing a lot of research and reading and looking over, as Debbie pointed out here tonight, talking about class numbers. I look at that every day, constantly. One of the things that I found out in my research was the principal-to-principal agreements. That is, it sounds like it's been a long-standing policy, and if you go back, there were reasons why that was put into place. Now what we have is anyone who asks is pretty much getting to just come to that school. So what that means for everybody is that if I live in Cambridge Springs and I want my children to go to Sagertown, I would request the principal-to-principal agreement so my children could go to Sagertown, okay? So what we've uncovered is when we've looked at those numbers, it kind of, and I'll just give you the numbers. If you look at current numbers of enrollment, and you look at Cambridge Springs, for instance, right now there are 360 students, and that's accurate. That's how many students are in that building right now. Sagertown's at 402 and Maplewood's at 459. But if you take out the students who are doing principal-to-principal agreements, now you have 382 students at Cambridge Springs, 374 at Sagertown, 453. So when you're looking at balancing classes and keeping class size as low as possible, I just wanted to bring this up to the board. Number one, I wanted to make you aware of that. Number two, as we look at balancing numbers into the future, there might be a need to begin to say no on those situations, because we want to look and see how do we keep numbers as equal as possible across the district. And so, naturally, I don't want to have the kids who are already in these schools. I think, I don't want to do anything with those kiddos at all. I wouldn't want to do that. But I think moving ahead into the future, I think it's something I wanted you to be aware of. I don't think, and so I just wanted to bring it up. I don't know if you're aware or not aware, if you have any questions on that for me.
Sean, so what's the process? Like, does the principal have to come to you? Like, could
No, right now-
forward, maybe they would come to you?
We've already talked about that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be, we're gonna change the procedure a little bit, starting next year, and it's gonna be more managed, just so I have an idea, because we're the ones that are looking at the numbers sometimes more, so yes. But right now, Allison, they don't, it just happens, and then I kind of just unearthed it in doing my research here. Any other questions or comments on that for the board? Lost my spot here. I'll get back to it. Scoreboard at Sagertown, we were approached about getting a scoreboard at the soccer fields. Here's the good part of my past history. I've been able to fund 8 different scoreboards in my tenure. Mr. Dixon's smiling down there because he was a part of some of those. And almost all 8 of those, we were able to get multiple donations from businesses. Then we would put advertising up along the scoreboard. And we've been successful, but I didn't want to go any further with this till I made sure that the board was on board with this, okay? I feel that if we're going to have these programs, let's look at these, but yet we don't want to keep incurring all those costs. So I would say if you give us the okay, Mr. Baker will take the lead on looking for opportunities out there. Mr. Saborski and I have spoken about this, and he said he's willing to help any way he can with that also. So, but I just wanted to make sure everybody on the board was okay with that.
Just as a side note, I checked, we're the only ones within the region, Maplewood and Sagertown both, that do not have a scoreboard. Recently, the team made the semifinals of the state, but throughout that process, they couldn't play at our fields just because we don't have a working timer or board. So this would be an upgrade. And the numbers, I mean, they've been combined for a while. The numbers look really good at the young age. So this is something that the boosters approached me about.
Any objection to moving forward with that? Thank you. Moving forward, if the board would be okay with this, I would like to do consent on some of these items here this evening. And then Mr. Johnson asked for questions. If you have any questions on any specific items. So under the first one, number 7, we will approve everything under the educational work. That would be items A through T, and asking the board for their consideration of those items.
So moved.
Second. The motion is second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Under number 8, facilities, we have 3 items, A, B, and C. I would ask that the board consider all 3 of those items for approval this evening.
Wait, don't know.
Go ahead.
A is construction.
A is just an
Oh,
update.
update. I was going to do it afterwards, but.
Okay, sorry.
Go ahead. We weren't going to let Mr. Dixon off the hook this evening to give an update on everything.
In front of you, I think I had 2 handouts. One is about transportation. Kind of fun reading maybe for you when you go home. This handout comes from the Pennsylvania State Busing Association. So some of the highlights in there is the duration it takes for them to hire a CDL bus driver. It's kind of interesting to go through the paradigm from which they have to employ. Second component of it was a 50-year history for the cost of school bus transportation. I think it started back in 1979, maybe was one of the ones that I had seen in there, but just how the cost increases and all the other mandates on the busing industry has led to, what costs are. And then the final thing in there was a little bit on electric school buses. I know it's been a hot topic the last 1.5 to 2 years. That kind of gives you a take on what the ups are and the downs are with that in the industry. So just, again, it's just something for you guys to read over, at a later date or something like that. You have questions on it, feel free to ask. The second handout I had there was from Strongland Roofing. That's the contractor doing the Cambridge Springs Elementary School roof this summer. That's a progress report that they have in there. That was dated last week, and if looking at that roof, K, P, Q, and S are all to be included in that green section. Roofs G, H, and F on the back side of the building are where they're going to be at right when school starts. So there's going to be just about 2 or 3 days worth of tear off after school starts, which is very limited and very minimal, and then they have all their tin work to do. Flashing and counter flashing and all the tin work, which is very typical of all the projects that we've had over the years of them, finishing up. So that's the update on their progress. Thirdly, the playground install at Cambridge Springs Elementary is stated to start tomorrow. We've been reaching out to that company since last April to try to get a date confirmed on there, and they are going to start their install tomorrow. I think it was a grant-funded program and through part of the PTO through Cambridge Springs. So that project will be done before school starts. Football field lights, they actually started on that project component today. All the lights on the riggings and things like that, they were getting them put together. Their lift came this afternoon. They'll be within the next few days tearing the old ones down, putting the new ones up. So we should be done by the end of the week with that. The Giza, the doors and windows, bathrooms, locker rooms, substantial completion is Friday of this week. They will make that. The final completion, after the substantial completion, we'll put a punch list together, do a walkthrough, and then the following Friday they will be done. I'm telling you, they're 99.9% geared up. There's going to be the little things here and there coming back through, but they've done a pretty decent job with that, and it's on schedule to finish. The next item is the end of this week, we're going out for our RFQ, request for qualifications for timber management companies. It'll be advertised in the paper. There's a whole RFQ put together. Whole process is you do have a bunch of timber management companies, persons, things like that in this industry around this part of the country, Crawford County especially. It's the ability to go out and have those folks solicit if they are interested in being a timber consultant to us. We'll receive their information and have that disseminated to you folks hopefully for September. Then we can pick somebody to go ahead and do that part of the process. Okay. Also coming in September, I've reached out to a local company to do a solar presentation. A lot of this stuff came out from the last year's budget season. We had a presentation a couple years ago about a Giza component, project tied to a Giza component. We've also talked to a different company that was a little bit different than that. It was, look, you know, you rent or lease your land to us. We will take that component on. Somewhat Giza form that we can only create 110% of the usage that we use, but then there's additional land that we have that they would actually lease off to us that they in turn would sell back to the grid. It's a big industry with different facets in it, and I'm going to try to bring somebody in to talk through pros and cons on that. Okay, because I think everybody's understanding what the solar is, but how it works in industry and how it will affect us, I think we need to talk that through. So we'll try to get that component. I know that there's a grant out there, they told me this last week, that the state, school districts, they're trying to get school districts to come in to even do a grant. So there may be a component with that you fill a bunch of paperwork out that you might get it. I mean, I think all this stuff will be talked out during that presentation. Phase 6, which is next year's Giza project, the continuation of the Cambridge project. McClure will come in October to update you on that. I've asked them to break it down into multiple different layered components to the construction. I'm trying to make it to see, like, there's a whole lot of choices that can be made, and there's a whole lot of number items that go along with it. So it's going to be maybe a little bit more than what we've seen in the past that way, but we've already done a fair amount of work up here right now. So with the doors and the windows and things like that. So again, they're going to come in October. They'll have their whole presentation for you there. I think you take and chew on that pretty much for, you know, what you're seeing there, and then we can, you know, deliberate back and forth on what direction you want to go from that. That's all I have. Okay? Thank you.
Under Facilities Transportation, we will ask the board for approval on letter B and C.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say. Motion carried.
Under number 9, the financial report, letter A, letter B, C, D, E, F, and G. I'm asking the boards for approval on each of those items.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Under personnel, I'm going to break this up a little bit. The first grouping will be letters A through I. That will be down to the last one. Actually, I'm going to do A through H, I'm sorry. A through H.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
The next grouping will be I through L.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Yes. I'd like to make a comment. Under this section, there's been some information being out in the public that I just wanted to make sure was clarified here this evening. All these positions that you're getting ready to vote on have been a restructuring, reassignment And there is no impact to the current budget. We've been able to shift things around in a manner that we are utilizing. We've cut some expenses, we've not filled some positions. We're not going to hire people that are hire their positions. Of course, we didn't fill so I wanted everyone to be aware of that. It wasn't like we were putting new hires up for. We had to list them that way because we changed job duties, we changed job responsibilities, and so when you do that, I had to put those on there to make. And it looks like it was, it looked like it was all new hires, but that is not the case. And I just wanted to clarify that for everybody. So that's all I had comment-wise.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Okay. We're going to do letter H by itself, and that is the assistant superintendent appointment. I'm sorry. So I'm going to ask for an amendment of this, and I'm going to ask that it be read as of the following. Resolved that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors shall approve Patty Feely, properly qualified district assistant superintendent, to serve a term of 5 years beginning August 12, 2024, at a salary of $137,000, pending final approval from the solicitor and PASA.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Congratulations to all of you. I won't put you on the spot here tonight and ask you to say a few words, okay?
Thank you.
But next month,
Next month, I'm sure.
game on.
The last items here will be letters N through S, still under personnel.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Under new business, and I'm actually pretty excited about this one, bringing this to the board. I resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the PENNCREST School District formally recognize all members in grades 9 through 12 of the established track clubs at each high school as student athletes. This designation entitles them to, number 1, earning varsity letters, number 2, the ability to award varsity letter jackets. This recognition would align the status of track club members with that of other competitive athletic programs within the district, acknowledging their dedication and skill in their chosen sport.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Announcement of the executive session that the board met for executive session on August 12, 2024 for personnel and legal matters. Citizen comments on the non-agenda items. Jessica here.
Hi, can you hear me? So my notes didn't sync from my laptop, so I have none of my notes, so I'm winging it here completely. My name's Jessica Ashba. I'm a Woodcock Township resident, also a proud 2005 graduate of Segertown High School. I am a master's level clinician, so I do have a lot of education under my belt. Not that that makes me who I am as a person. Education comes in so many different forms. I'm very proud to say that some of the hardest classes that I have had were my AP English class taught here, as well as my statistics class that were taught by the Sagertown teachers. I was blown away when I went to college for English 101, and it was a walk in the park, so thank you to my teachers for that. I was made aware on, I think it was either August 7th or August 8th, that there was some restructuring. While I do understand keeping things in the budget, making things work, we're doing so at the detriment of our students. I became aware that one of the 6th grade teachers will be moving to a different position. This directly affects my son. He will now be in a classroom of 28 to 30 children. I may be completely wrong about this. You know the rumor mill. It runs and runs and runs. That's why we look for clarification. What I do know that 28 to 30 students is too much. I believe as well my daughter will be affected by this. She's in 4th grade. I believe she is down to 2 teachers as well and will have approximately 27 students in her classroom. I completely understand we needed another teacher in 2nd grade. Those little guys, they deserve to have 4 teachers at that level. That's too much to teach them, but I don't want to do so at the expense of our other students. Please just be mindful. I had a slew of research to show that 20 or under is really best for students. Realistically, I get it, we can't do those types of numbers, but 28 to 30, if you've been in the size of the classrooms, that's a little bit tight in there. When I informed my son that they were going down to 2 teachers, he was very disappointed. As an 11-year-old would, started complaining, but just more disappointed because what's going to happen to the students that need the extra help? What's going to happen to the students that maybe need more challenges? What happens when our teachers are in charge of battling mental health problems going on in the classroom, behavioral health problems going on in the classroom, just sheer exhaustion, and that's what's going to happen if we keep burning our teachers out. So I just please ask, yes, I get it, accountability with numbers, but please just be mindful of how many kiddos we are cramming into the classrooms. On a completely side note, and she said that she would watch this and hold me accountable, my 9-year-old did ask if something could be done with the jagged rocks of terror on the parking lot of Sagertown Elementary School. Thank you so much for your time.
This time I'll turn it over to you for the last comments. Questions?
I don't have any. Anybody have anything?
I'm going to touch on one thing to talk about class sizes. I do know that out in Maplewood, excuse me, the shop class, they're looking at 28 students per class now. For the one class, they have 19 computers and 27 students. You have one adult watching, students work on the equipment. I do think that we are taking a risk with such large class sizes and shop classes too. And to go along with what Ms. Ashbar said about the 4th and 6th grade classes, she's right. We want our test scores to improve. If we allow these class sizes to get so big that it's going to be very tough to see these improvements. And I trust that Mr. Ford's got a plan. So I'm not going to say a whole lot more on that, but I just want the board to be aware that we do have some really large class sizes throughout the district in different areas. And it could, hopefully not, but it could be detrimental in some areas. So just so the board's aware.
If I could add to that, just so maybe you haven't, the way it was brought to me regarding that robotics class was that the students don't have a placement, and so they get put into these electives. It's not like 28 kids were signing up, because that'd be fantastic. It's because they've accomplished all their credits, and now they're looking for a course to take, and so they have to take this course. And so they're being placed into robotics, art, and those numbers are just getting egregious. And I agree, 28 in a shop class is a lot for one. 28 is a lot for any class, but that's what it was perceived to me, was that the students needed a place to go. And so whether it was they could take a cyber course, maybe take, I don't know, I'm forgetting, what are the college courses, the RTM? What are the college courses they can take? My point is, if we can offer, I know this doesn't offer more courses, whether it's online or in person, that could alleviate some. Obviously, online would be the most conducive to that. So that's the way it was brought up to me. Whether that's accurate or not, I'm just letting you know.
So if you could look into that.
Just offering, finding a course for folks to alleviate those that do want to take shop and robotics. And
I just wanted to point out that we did hire a music teacher. A lot of people during the elections were saying, well, we need to hire a music teacher. So I applaud the district's efforts on that. I would like to push that a little farther and say, why don't we have a theater program? It would be nice if we did, and we could consider that for the future. Thank you.
I believe that there was an additional person. Did someone else want to speak?
Yes.
Sure.
Good evening, board members. I'm a concerned parent reaching out to you tonight.
Hold on. State your name.
Oh, Kristen Wilson.
Your township also.
Cambridge, it's Rockdale Township, Cambridge Springs area. Still part of my address is still Cambridge. I was a 2002 graduate of Cambridge Springs, longtime resident. I was wanting to bring to the attention of our resource officers. I don't know if you're aware of a current petition that involves 100 signatures for his removal. I have an open court case, so I can't speak legally about my situation other than my personal experience with this officer. He had called me on my personal cell phone and threatened me involving charges for my child. If I didn't sign these charges, things would get ugly for me. So where do you go from here? Where do you make the complaints? Do you make the complaints with the borough, the chief of police, to y'all? I didn't know where to go. So I started with the chief of police. He said that he is paid by paid by you guys, but supervised by the borough. I've actually talked to several parents after my daughter was brought up on charges, and they've had similar instances with this officer. I'm not a parent that sends my child to school and expects teachers to police my child. I am very much an active parent when it comes to these things. When you take them to the borough meeting and they say it's fine for him to be friends with 13 and 14-year-old minor female students, I find that inappropriate. I find his actions very inappropriate, not only threatening me as an adult, what would he do to a child that questions him? So I'm asking you to please read into some of these stories that students' voices have been taken away. Other parents are fearful of retaliation in this small town. After hearing a lot of these stories, I did Google him, find out where this guy came from. Why is he calling me on my phone after business hours threatening me? What I found was appalling. He was actually relinquished his position. I'm not going to slander him, as you can Google and find out for yourself. I urge you to take a look into this because he is hindering students' voices. He is taking away their privacy. If you like, I would have emails from several parents that I somehow became the spokesperson for. Like I said, I don't know where to go. I've intently listened to this meeting about budgeting and where our money is going. It was said that he was paid by PENNCREST taxpayer dollars to patrol Cambridge Springs. This is what's kind of started this avenue and this platform to know that I'm not alone. Those people are upset with the way he has handled himself with the general public as an adult. If those adults are saying they've had enough, what is he doing to the children when they can't leave the school? So I am urging you, as a concerned parent, amongst reading everybody else's things that have come to me, like I said, I'm only speaking from my personal experience and being threatened. After reading the petition from Lock Haven University, that one conversation validated everything that those people had said. But I also want to make you aware that 100 signatures that are signed by parents, people that have been pulled over by this individual, had any dealings with this in the public, is not public knowledge for your reading pleasure. I have copies if you need it. I don't know where to go because everybody has had an upheaval. Maplewood had a new principal. We've now had a new superintendent. So I've been dealing with this nightmare since January. So I would just urge you to look at that. If taxpayer dollars for PENNCREST is paying for this individual to patrol Cambridge, maybe you need to look at that. Maybe you can hire another teacher. Maybe you can have your theater arts teacher. I mean, there's other things that could be looked at if PENNCREST dollars are paying for that. Other than that, I thank you for your time. If I didn't say that, I'm not saying disband our resource officers. I know it's a mandate that they're going to have them in the school. They do have Officer Rick that has not had anything that I've heard. It's always just been this one individual that people seem to have problems with. I don't like the fact that he is overfamiliar with the children and that it's perceived to be okay to be friends with a 13, 14-year-old female. It is very familiar, as he stated in my voicemail. The kids call me. I'm sorry, but it should be Officer, just like it is with Officer Rick. Like I said, I can't speak a whole lot on my end because of the ongoing court case, but it's been a lot to deal with. So I just urge you to Google, to look up what needs to be done. I don't know, but it's not appropriate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this point in time, we're at number 14.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion